Hello, students. Welcome back, or for the first time. We are today going to look at argument instead of the comparison contrast essay. We'll talk about the argument style essay. And remember, every time you do an essay, it should be most likely will be a combination of these styles. So you'll have one major outline, but you will be borrowing from other styles to make very convincing and well organized writing. Okay, so just like last time, I'm going to walk you through this chapter, and you should have the PDF while you're doing this, and you should have actually done this PDF. That will make it most helpful, unless you just want to listen and watch, and then you can try and do the PDF on your own. Either way, I believe will be helpful, but you can compare your answers if you already have them done. So the argument essay. Right. So many times we have a question for that you might answer like some cities in the US and United Kingdom have passed laws establishing curfews for young people. Curfews means how long you can stay out before you need to go inside. Young people, usually age 7 and younger, may not be out on the streets after 9 or 10 p.m. Do you agree or disagree with such curfews? And then you would have an opinion. I agree or disagree. So this should already ring a bell. And I didn't prepare this, so let's see how quickly I can get to this. Can I see it quickly? Essay revisions. In class writing. Here we go. Sorry for this time. Okay, so here, if we go back, then we say, do you agree or disagree? In this one here in particular, it says, why didn't they learn these languages in your opinion? So do you agree or disagree with Marion and Amy, or do you think they should be able to speak them? Explain your answer. So in these, it's clearly an opinion, right? So this is one that you might be able to use this style on. Another one, rather than agree or disagree, business ethics. Companies that do business abroad sometimes find that local business practices include activities considered unethical at home, offering gifts or money or awarding contracts to family members, for example. Should companies go along with local business practices in order to become successful, or should they refuse to do so and risk failure as a result? So this example here, should. So it's your opinion whether they should or not. So opinion essays very often are an argument style. What is unique about an argumentative essay is that you do not just give reasons to support your point of view. You must also discuss the other side's reasons and then rebut them. So rebut is a word that I want you to know with argument style essays. So rebut means to point out problems with the other side's reasons to prove that they are not good reasons. So it's a counter attack to another argument. So this is very important, the rebuttal. If you've given your opinion before in an essay, that's strong, a very good writing, but now we'll work on also including a rebuttal to rebut. So I want to look more closely at the organization of argumentative essays. So take a moment to read this, maybe pause this, and then I'll go through it all. But it's better if you read it yourself and maybe have questions that I might answer. So instead of pausing for a long time, I'll have you pause it and I'll keep talking. So when you unpause it, you can listen. So block pattern and, and point by point pattern. So in block pattern, you'll see, so introduction, explanation of the issue, and then your thesis statement. And block 1, it means you're talking about all the other side's arguments. So you have the summary of the other side's argument, first rebuttal to their first argument, second rebuttal to their second argument, third rebuttal to their third argument. So the whole time you're talking about their argument, and that's why it's block 1. First, you explain what their argument is, and then you give a rebuttal, or 3 rebuttals in this case. And then in the next section, block 2, you'll have your first argument, your second argument, and your third argument, right? So this could be, maybe this is 1 paragraph and this is 3, or maybe this is a much larger section, and so is this. So depending on what you're writing, how long you have to say, will determine the length of your paper, but this could be an organization for block style. And point by point pattern, again, the introduction, explanation of the issue, including a summary of the other side's argument. So it's a little bit different from this, perhaps, and your thesis statement at the end. And in point by point, you'll give a statement of the other side's first argument and a rebuttal with your counter argument. Then a statement of their second argument and a rebuttal with your own. And again in C, a statement of their third argument and a rebuttal with your own argument. Conclusion may include a summary of your point of view, which could be on this side as well. So basically, you'll go through point by point, their argument, then your argument, their argument, then your argument, their argument, then your argument, versus the block pattern, which focuses one whole section on their argument and your rebuttals to it, but you're not developing these, you're just rebutting them. And then you move forward to your arguments, building your point of view based on your thesis statement. Now, I just want to take a moment and hopefully you see the relationship between this style of organization and my style of organization. So let's make this bigger. Or I won't, because you can also notice this. You're familiar with my structure and expectations of academic writing. So we have intro, body, conclusion. Just like theirs, intro, body, conclusion, right? 3 clear sections. And then more closely, we have title, hook, summary, thesis statement, right? And then if we look at theirs, introduction, so this is like, here, this is closer. Hook, summary, thesis statement. And of course, you'll have a title included. Then look back at mine at the body. Topic sentence, some development, definition and background are like development, specific supporting details or examples, and then some opinion or analysis at the end. So this is much more defined, but it's based on one controlling idea. And that is where here you'll have your statement of the other side's argument and your rebuttal. This will be your topic sentence for this section. Or summary of the argument sides, this will be your topic sentence for that section. Your first argument would be your topic sentence for that section, right? So each of these could be seen as just one section. And in each section, you need all of your pieces, right? But in this outline that we're looking at, the argument outline, we're focusing on thesis statements, topic sentences, and then conclusions. Okay, I just wanted to point out the relationship between this one, which is a little more basic, and then mine, making sure that you have all the pieces in your body sections. Okay, moving forward. This is an important point. There are many variations on these 2 patterns. So last time I made you dizzy with the camera. Now this time I'll make you dizzy because of the bent photography. Hopefully you're not too sick. There are many variations on these 2 patterns. So these give 2 general outlines. Which pattern you use will depend on your topic. So I'm not expecting block pattern to always look like this, or point by point to always look like this. And like I said before, whichever kind of argument essay doing, you're also blending in comparison contrast, or you might blend in cause and effect. So it's, remember, writing is flexible and creative, and we'll show models that you can use, but that's why you need to decide on an outline at the beginning to give the essay your structure. With some topics, one pattern works better than others. So let me read this essay and see how far we get. Separating the sexes, just for the tough years. Sexes here means like gender. Physical gender. Male or female. The middle school years, grades 7 and 8, are known to be tough years. These are the years when the uneven pace of girls' and boys' physical, emotional, and cognitive development is most noticeable. Girls are ahead of boys on all counts, and both suffer. Educators debate whether separating boys and girls during these years, these difficult years, might improve students' academic performance. Separate classes are now prohibited, meaning banned, not allowed, in public schools that receive federal funds, but a change in the federal law that prohibits them is under consideration. So to be under consideration means to be thought about. Although some parents and educators oppose same-sex classes, there is some evidence that separating boys and girls in middle school yields positive results. And yields means produces. Opponents of single-sex education claim that test scores of students in all-girl or all-boy classes are no higher than those of students in mixed classes. And here they have the name of the study. So this is a citation. It's going to get crowded with my annotating. However, the research is inconclusive. There's no conclusion, not a strong conclusion. Despite the fact that some research shows no improvement in test scores, other research shows exactly opposite results. Another study. More important, many psychologists believe that test scores are the wrong measuring sticks. A measuring stick is what you're using to measure, not actually a measuring stick. So if you're using test scores to measure, they're a measuring stick. If you're using, most normally it's test scores, right? Or speed, say in a reading class, reading speed, the time that it takes you to read could be a different measuring stick. They believe that self-confidence and self-esteem issues are more important than test scores. In same-sex classes, girls report increased confidence and improved attitudes towards math and science, for example. Study. These are results that cannot be calculated by a test, but that will help adolescents become successful adults long after the difficult years of middle school are past. New York University professor Carol Gilligan is certain that girls are more likely to be creative thinkers and risk takers as adults if educated apart from boys in middle school. Another study, by Gross. That's the name of the author. And you'll see the little footnote, which tells us at the bottom, we'll get there, at the bottom of the study, that's where the citations are. Boys, too, gain confidence when they do not have to compete with girls. Boys at this age become angry and fight back in middle school because they feel inferior when compared to girls who literally outthink them. Is this true, gentlemen reading this? Is this true, women? With no girls in the classroom, they are more at ease with themselves and more receptive to learning. So, citing the same study. Gross. Opponents also maintain that separate classes or separate schools send the message that males and females cannot work together. They say that when students go into the workforce, they will have to work side by side with the opposite sex, and attending all girl or all boy schools denies them the opportunity to learn how to do so. However, such an argument completely ignores the fact that children constantly interact with members of the opposite sex outside school. From playing and squabbling means fighting, with siblings, to negotiating allowances. Negotiating is bargaining. So your parents say that you'll get $5 a week for washing the toilet and the floor, and you'll say, "Oh no, that's not enough. That was good enough 10 years ago. These years, all my friends are making $10 for doing the same thing." Inflation, inflation. So that's a negotiation. Negotiating allowances, chores, and privileges with their opposite sex parent. Children learn and practice on a daily basis the skills they will need in their future workplaces. The final argument advanced by opponents of same sex education is that it is discriminatory and therefore unconstitutional. So, discriminatory means is a noun form, discriminate is the verb. It means to be biased, um, to treat one group unfairly based on age, color, skin color, ethnicity, um, gender. However, research supports exactly the opposite conclusion, that discrimination is widespread in mixed classes. Widespread means that it happens a lot, happens frequently. Let's make this fit good enough. So the discrimination is widespread in mixed classes. Several studies have shown that boys dominate discussions and receive more attention than girls, and that teachers call on boys more often than they call on girls, even when girls raise their hand. Clearly, this is discriminatory. So what kind of discrimination? Gender discrimination, sex discrimination. It should be evident that the arguments against same-sex classes are not valid. Valid means to be true. On the contrary, many people involved in middle school education say that same-sex classes provide a better learning environment. Boys and girls pay less attention to each other and more attention to their schoolwork. Marquez. As one teacher noted, girls are more relaxed and ask more questions. Boys are less disruptive and more focused. So again here, this is a really good example of a paraphrase. So I'm going to put a paraphrase by this one. And this one here with the quotation marks is a really good example of what? Yes, a quotation. Girls are less fearful of making mistakes and asking questions in math and science. Boys are less inhibited about sharing their ideas in language and literature. Furthermore, school children are not disadvantaged by lack of contact with the opposite sex because they have many opportunities outside the school setting to interact with one another. Finally, discrimination occurs in mixed classes, so discrimination is not a valid argument. Not a strong argument, in other words. Therefore, in my opinion, the law prohibiting same-sex classes in public schools should be changed. So that's the end of the essay. So, as a writer, you should have an essay, have an outline before you write. This gives structure to your essay. As a reader, you should be able to see the outline of the article that you're reading. And keep in mind these two main styles of outlines. Block outlines, where you have big sections covering two main topics, or one main topic, and then it'll move to another main topic, or the point by point, where you'll have smaller sections that deal with one particular topic before moving on. And it seems like they're similar because there is a lot very similar between block and point by point. And that's okay. So this one's a little bit blurry. Let's see what we can do. Separating the sexes just for the tough years. Introduction, explanation of the issue. So let's go back. Where do we expect to find the thesis? This is our introduction. We have a hook, tough years, right? So we have this interesting language as our hook. These are the years, so this is some background, and we have it at the very end. Although some parents, let's see if I have a underlining tool, highlighting tool. Can I do that? No, that's underline. Although some parents and educators oppose opposite sex classes, there is some result that separating boys and girls in middle school yields positive results. This is our thesis. Getting too crowded here. I'm not going to add that. That is our thesis. Body paragraph, opposing argument 1. So this will be the topic sentence at the very start of the first body paragraph. Opponents of same-sex education claim that test scores show that there is no advantage to all girl or all boy classes. Rebuttal to argument 1. So first we have opposing argument 1 and a rebuttal. Research is inconclusive, show the opposite results. Other results that cannot be calculated. Let's look at 2 specific examples developing their point. These are results that, oops. These are results that cannot be calculated by a test, but that will help adolescents become successful long after the difficult years in the middle school are past. So what are they? These are actually above. So first they mention here they mention their examples first. Many psychologists believe that test scores are the wrong measuring stick. So tests are wrong. Self-confidence and self-esteem are more important. And then they say these are the ones that cannot be calculated. And then, so notice that they're talking, so self-confidence, increased confidence, and improved attitudes. But the word confidence here is repeated. Boys too gain confidence. So first they talked about girls gaining confidence. Boys at this, with no girls in the classroom, they are more at ease and more receptive to learning. So as if a synonym for more confidence, right? So you see here, they're developing their counter argument. So they start the argument saying that I took a moment to read, which is okay to go back and read to make sure you understand. So opponents claim that test scores of students are no higher than those of students in mixed classes. So they're saying it doesn't matter if you have all girl or all boy, the test scores will remain the same. Then they say the research is inconclusive. Some shows no improvement in test scores, but other research shows exactly the opposite results. So some show that there is an improvement. But here's the rebuttal. More important than this is the rebuttal. More important, many psychologists believe that test scores are wrong measuring sticks. So this is actually the topic sentence for their section, for their argument. Okay, so you have to go back to the outlines and see which style outline is this. We will get to that answer. So other results that cannot be calculated, gaining confidence for both girls and boys. Opposing argument 2. So here we will look at the next section. So that will be in here. It's the next paragraph, actually. Opponents also maintain that separate classes send the message that males and females cannot work together. So this is the opposing argument. A little development. They say that when students go into the workforce, they'll have to work side by side. Attending all girl or all boy schools denies them the opportunity to learn. So this is the opposing argument. And then a little bit of development supporting the opposing argument, so that we know that you've done some reading and research on this opposing argument. Then, however, okay, so this one transitioned with more important than the opposing argument. This is just the opposite. However, such an argument completely ignores the fact that children constantly interact with members of the opposite sex outside school. So this one here is the opposing argument, and then we'll have some support here. And let's see, opposing argument 2. They play with each other outside. Oh, opposing argument. If we separate boys and girls in school, then they'll never interact. Rebuttal, of course they'll interact. They interact outside school their whole life. And then here we have some support that we noticed that I put that mark like this at the end of the second body paragraph. Opposing argument 3 at the beginning of the paragraph. So see how every paragraph follows a particular pattern. This makes it easier for the reader. So the easier it is for your reader, the more that your grade is going up, the more clear you are in your discussion. So the final argument, advanced, is unconstitutional. So we have it again as the very first. There's no extra information here. That's okay. And we have the same transition. However, exactly the opposite conclusion. Discrimination is widespread in mixed classes. So they're saying that same-sex education is discriminatory, but then they're saying, well, in same-sex classes, discrimination happens a lot anyway. And then support for their rebuttal. And then they end with their own point of view. So same-sex classes provide a better learning argument, and they provide some reasons. Okay, so this is their conclusion. And you'll see that their conclusion is actually quite long. I don't encourage you to do this style of conclusion. Okay, I would like you to have a shorter conclusion. But this one is good. If you did it this well, I would say that it's great. So it should be evident that the arguments are not valid. So this is almost like a thesis statement. So is this, if we go back to the thesis statement? Although some parents oppose same-sex, there is evidence that separating boys and girls in middle school yields positive results. And then their opinion should be evident that the arguments against same-sex classes. So this is saying their thesis in a different way and then developing their point. On the contrary, many people involved in middle school education say that same-sex classes provide a better learning environment. So they have their topic sentence. Here, let me underline this. Can I bring this down? Yeah, underline this. And then a little bit of development. And then specific examples. And they're using paraphrases and quotations as their specific examples. And then ending with the concluding sentence that summarizes their opinion. So let's see what's next. Conclusion. 5 keys of an argumentative essay. An explanation of the issue at the beginning. Clear thesis statement at the end of your introduction. Summary of the opposing arguments. Rebuttal to the opposing arguments. And your own arguments. So this is just like this here that I say, right? A background information and a thesis statement. Clear topics, right? So even if you're developing your side, that should be very clear. If first you're offering their argument and then you're doing a rebuttal, that's still doing a topic sentence. It's a little bit more complicated as a topic sentence, but it's still your topic sentence. Okay, you're taking a little more time to get to your topic because you're saying their argument first. And then you repeat this one body section, this style. So you take this one for one paragraph or one section, and then you repeat it. Just like in this essay, it was repeated 3 times. So introductory, I'm not going to do this part, but if we go back and look at which one was it? Take a moment and think which one it was. Correct, I hope. Point by point, right? They stated the other side first argument and they had a rebuttal. Statement of the second argument and a rebuttal. Statement of the third side and a rebuttal. In your essays, I don't want to do formal argumentation like this because I think it's more important to have a little more freedom and have you develop your opinion even more. And sometimes you will just be disagreeing with one side of their argument. But I do want you to include one rebut once in your essays from now on. So you'll have to take one opposing view. It might be from the reading, or it might be an opposing view that you know is out there. And then have a counter argument to it. Okay, so you have to think of one opposing view, include that somewhere in your body section, one of your body sections, and one of your points should disagree with it. And we'll work on how to do that in class. Let me just see. One moment. Okay, yes. And to help you do that, before I end this video, introductory paragraph, this will be helpful, and you can model your introductions off this one, but this is very similar to my style of introduction. So keep this in mind, okay? And if there's a disagreement or if you don't see the similarities, please ask me. Okay, so here's some expressions such as the following to introduce opposing points of view. So some people feel that this, many people feel that this. Smokers say that. So this is how you introduce the opposing point of view that you're going to disagree with, right? So you introduce an opposing view by showing that it's a common point of view. Maybe it's from the reading, so you would have the author's name at the end. Or maybe you would start with reporting language, like the author thinks that instead of many. Or it may be true that, so a view in general. And then you connect the opposing point of view with your transition signal of contrast. So we've talked about compare and contrast. And so here is where you contrast it. So at the beginning, they're using this sentence up here. And so the connection is, right? Oops. So some people feel that the United States have a national healthcare plan like Canada's. However, others feel that government should stay out of the healthcare business. So this is the opposing view. This is your view that you will then spend some time developing in a paragraph, a small paragraph or a large paragraph or several paragraphs, right? But this is the beginning. Their view first, then yours. Similarly, the second point, oh, so they didn't do it for this first one. Yes. Oh, no, okay, yes. So see these same words from up here. Although many think that genetically engineered crops are a grave danger to the environment, then this here is your argument. The first part is the opposing view. The second part is what you will develop in your section. Again, just another sentence style. Oh, sorry. Let's do this correctly. Boom, boom. Getting too fancy here. So the same point of view from up here, smokers say that they have the right to smoke in spite of the fact that smoking will kill them. So this time, just depending on what you choose as your transition signal of contrast that we went over in part one, or the comparison contrast discussion, right? So you're contrasting your view to their view. And finally, the last one. Now it's just getting. So while, whereas, so this is like although, right? The same sentence structure. So yours will come last. While it may be true that the US Constitution gives citizens the right to own weapons, the men who wrote the Constitution lived in a different time. So this will be your point that you will discuss, that you will develop in your paragraph. So let's do a couple of these, and then you can do your own using these. And these work as thesis statements. These could also work in miniature in your paragraphs. So that's what I was talking up here, that these would be the basis of your paragraphs. They could also work as your thesis statement. So it's at the beginning, you'll say the opposing view after you develop it, and then your thesis, this will be your thesis statement for the whole essay. Or you can do it on a smaller scale, just like this essay did. Let's see. In particular, right? So the final argument advanced by opponents is this, and therefore, however, so the transition signal. Let's look back up here. Opponents also maintain that separate classes, blah, blah, blah. However, so again, right? So another transition signal, a classic, easy one. Here, this is a nice transition. Oh, this is actually the transition here. Despite the fact that some research shows no improvement in test scores, other research shows exactly opposite results. So here, well, both of these sentences. However, again, 3 paragraphs using however. The research is inconclusive. So this is their point. And this is, so sorry, this is the opposing view. And here is the rebuttal, which will carry through in this paragraph, right? And they have 2 sentences kind of doing a rebuttal in this case. We could look at that closer if you wish in class, this particular one. The other ones are more clear. And notice they use however in every paragraph. I would ask you to use different transition statements, transition words. But that's a very strong essay, and they used the same one in each one. So let's try a couple of these. Let's use text. So, sale of CDs with songs containing lyrics that degrade women should be prohibited. So we add an opposing view to the following statements. So I have to oppose this view. I don't oppose this view. But should they be prohibited? Although the sale of CDs, what are CDs again? Ha ha ha. With songs containing lyrics that degrade women should be prohibited. These lyrics can also start conversations that help change these views. Okay, so that's not a great one. I came up with it right now, but like I said, I actually agreed with the point. So television is the worst invention of modern times. So let's use a different one. Comparison contrast. So you'll have yours out, but I'll use some of these. While television is the worst, comma, it does provide a nice escape in the evening when the children are finally, hopefully, asleep. Okay, so now you can go through these. I know you can't see those super clearly, but you get the idea. So you're presenting, this is the opposing view that you will rebut, you will counter. And so you have to use transitions of contrast to rebut them, to counter them. So you can try these opposing ones and you can bring them to me anytime. Is this the same thing? Oh, and this one here is doing support, right? So once you have um, your rebuttal, your point, then you need to support it. So, right? So censorship of the arts is always wrong. Censorship is wrong. Freedom to express oneself is a fundamental right. Public morality is relative, meaning that me and you might have different definitions for what is art and what isn't art. So something that one people might ban, another person might accept. Many masterpieces would be banned. So once we decide on a definition, something that was already seen as a masterpiece, we might have to ban it in the future because of our definition. So we need to be careful. This is what this argument is saying. So go through these and try and have your own development, so your own support for these theses. So I'll do this one. Violence in video games, movies, and television programs should be censored. Whoa, well, I disagree, but for this exercise, I have to agree. Violence in video games, movies, and television programs should be censored. A, what's the first point? When children practice violence on TV, they will in school. So I don't really agree with that, but for the exercise, we need to support it. So I'll just do 2 for support here. Another reason they should be censored. If TV should focus on creativity and education. Violence is neither. Let me shrink this down. Can I do that? Nope. So I'll do this. There. So again, you can develop your own supporting paragraphs. This is your thesis, and these would be your topic sentences. And so before I get to writing practice, I'll come back and finish this with another video. But some important points to remember. An argumentative essay is the kind of essay in which you try to persuade your reader to agree with your opinion about a controversial topic. So this is explicitly controversial, but all of your essays, you're trying to persuade your reader to agree with you. So sometimes it's an opinion, sometimes you just have a point of view, right? So which is basically an opinion. Almost all of the essays we ask you to write are your point of view. So almost all the essays you have are some type of argument. An argumentative essay contains these 5 elements. So again, this is from the book that I'm giving as an example, and I want you to say that you need at least most of these in every essay. An explanation of the issue, that's background, right? Summary, that's in your introduction. A clear thesis statement. We do know that. A summary of the opposing arguments. So this can come in the introduction, in the explanation of the issue. As we see, It could also come in the in a little summary at the top of a body paragraph. Rebuttal to opposing arguments. Now I want you to include at least one rebuttal. So you need to recognize that there is an argument against you, state that opposing argument, and then have your rebuttal and defend your rebuttal with the regular parts of a section. So your rebuttal is your topic sentence, but this time the topic sentence comes a little bit deeper into the paragraph. And I only expect one. So let me cross out rebuttals. One rebuttal to the opposing arguments. Use either block pattern or point by point. So this means be well organized, be clearly organized. Both of these are very well organized and they repeat the same organization, so they don't switch or surprise people in the middle. Use contrast transition signals to connect opposing arguments and your counter arguments. Okay, so that's all for now. I hope this was educational a little bit. Watch it again if you need to. Watch it as many times as you need to. When you have questions, please come with specific questions based on this handout. I'll save this file so you can also, no, I won't save this file. You should have made notes throughout this. If you want this file, then ask me for it. I will have a copy of this. I'll save it every time I move along. And we'll move on to this in the next discussion, argument essay discussion 2. All right, see you in class. Now I have to find my, yes, see you in class.